Jason Aaron, Aaron Kuder, and Carlos Magno explore Robbie Reyes' imprisonment at the hands of Black Skull and the lengths the villain will go to try and discover the secrets of the Ghost Rider. Jason Aaron continues his multiversal adventure series with a rather dark turn this issue, focusing on Robbie Reyes and the continuing of the character's development into a very important character for an upcoming event called Judgment Day. Robbie's enduring spirit is a big part of this issue and how in the face of no hope or relief he never gives up and never gives in. I loved Aaron's pacing of the issue as well, just ramping up the torture and everything that was happening to Robbie, and in turn the reader's anticipation for what's going to happen next keeps building as well, concluding in a really dark and pretty awesome scene involving a multiversal battle royale filled with different versions of Robbie. The book also really sells the importance of Robbie's Ghost Rider and how he is very unique compared to Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch. It also hints at him becoming this fabled All-Rider, a true multiversal Ghost Rider who will be very important for the upcoming events like Judgment Day as well as what's happening over in the Avengers book. Aaron Kuder and Carlos Magno continue to deliver top-notch artwork for the series, selling the dark and twisted nature of the story really well with some brutal torture sequences. I really love the amount of emotion Kuder and Magno can get out of a skull face like Ghost Riders that has no actual skin or muscle to help show that emotion properly, and it just works so well with how they did it. Avengers Forever issue 2 was another great issue that explored Robbie's enduring spirit in the face of pain and the loss of hope, while also showcasing more of the multiverse and the multiversal masters of evil Aaron has been building up in the Avengers book. I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10. Avengers Forever issue 2 finds the Black Skull torturing Robbie Reyes, who stays silent as the villain hacks off one of his legs. Skull calls Robbie an artist behind the wheel and how he is without restraint and mercy, finding him to be a kindred spirit to him and how they are on a road that very few have travelled. He asks Robbie about times where he's driving and how he would forget his own foot and where it stopped and the accelerator began, since that's what it's like with him and his symbiote. Skull hands Robbie's foot to one of his men, wanting it to be thrown into the sun. As the man touches the foot, he bursts into flame though, melting his soul away. Robbie frees himself, but Skull anticipated this, smashing the hero down and telling him that no force on any earth can melt a soul as scarred as his. He compares Robbie's soul to that of the skin of a newborn lamb, smelling it curdling like milk inside the man, knowing that he will eventually scream for him when they are through, but for now he wants the hero to tell him who he is and how he came to this world. Robbie spits fire at the villain, but it does nothing as Black Skull smashes Ghost Rider into his huge arms, crushing Robbie, who knows he would rather die than scream and give Skull the satisfaction. He knows the pain is a blizzard with howling winds that rip a weak man's flesh apart, and only his rage can keep him warm on a world where the long night never seems to end. He knows outside of Black Skull's compound is a wasteland, but within its walls is a paradise and there is order and the lie of peace. Robbie is taken back to his cell where he is reunited with the Deathlock he was with, who knows that it only took 8 days for Skull to cut off Robbie's foot. He tells Robbie to gird himself for what's coming since he won't survive if he loses control and reverts back to his human form, but if he stays as the Rider, he'll likely forget who he really is, and only then would he be better off dead, and the universe would die with him, and he was ripped across the multiverse for a reason. The Deathlock kills the roaches on the ground beneath him as he tells Robbie that he is not like the other Riders or the spirit of vengeance users, and the sooner he understands himself, the sooner he will learn what vengeance truly means. Later on, Robbie is subject to more torture from Black Skull, knowing Skull is right about one thing, and today is the day he screams. Robbie lets out his hellfire onto the villain, knocking him down and allowing him to escape the room, but soldiers soon apprehend him, throwing him back in his cell where he begins to forget his name in the blizzard of pain. Later on, Robbie is strung up in a web as Skull demands the hero talk, demanding his human name so he himself doesn't forget it. Robbie, however, doesn't say or do anything, making Skull wonder why he is so focused. Suddenly, the Hell Charger smashes through the wall, freeing Robbie and surprising Skull since the vehicle was chained up in the dungeon. Robbie knows that he heard the Ghost Rider's call when suddenly he is attacked and knocked down by the Ghost Goblin, who was passing by and heard the commotion. He wants to know when he can take the Ghost Rider's head, and with the car and Robbie chained up, Skull tells Goblin that the car has almost killed 50 of his men, wanting Osborn to tell him of all the Ghost Riders he's killed, has he ever encountered such a beast as the Hell Charger? The Goblin hasn't, knowing a Hell car is new, as is the driver, since he's not a Johnny Blaze or a Danny Ketch or a Naomi Kale, and he's not from the usual bloodlines, not even having the smell of Mephisto on him. He gives Skull some advice, telling him that with everything that's going on, now is not the time to get caught up in multiversal variants, just wanting Ghost Rider to be killed and done with. Robbie is taken back to his cell, feeling the All Rider is coming, and if he sleeps or changes back to being human, he will die, so luckily the pain is enough to keep him awake, as Deathlock tells him stories, reminding the hero his name is Robbie Reyes, and explaining to the hero where he comes from and how he has a brother named Gabe, and he loves him more than anything. But all Robbie hears are legends about the Rider unlike any other, a Ghost Rider who has no limits except infinity. Days later, Robbie escapes his cell as the Black Skull watches him on the cameras, asking the hero if he's wondering why he hasn't been asked any questions or why he hears the screams coming from beyond the door in front of him. Robbie forces the door open, finding a huge room filled with variants of Robbie Reyes. Black Skull reveals that he knows who the Ghost Rider is now, introducing him to his multiversal counterparts, wondering if he's surprised to know that in most universes, he doesn't even exist, and even the ones he does, he is utterly insignificant. Skull reveals that he is the only one to ever become Ghost Rider, calling him a fluke, and all these Robbies only took a few months to break, telling them all that all they need to do to return home is to kill one another. The Robbies all begin murdering one another as Ghost Rider watches on in horror, soon trying to stop them without hurting them, but he notices the look in the eyes of all of the Robbies, one he has never seen before, as they are filled with fear and the madness. Robbie knows that these beings can't possibly be him, repeating that to himself as he screams out, becoming the only Robbie Reyes left alive. Robbie is soon returned to his cell, where Deathlock knows that Black Skull finally broke Robbie and had him scream. The hero knows that he did it to himself, as Deathlock knows that if he's tortured again, he will tell Black Skull everything, from his Ghost Rider to his car, the Avengers, and everything he needs to kill Earth 616. Deathlock reveals that it's his job not to let that happen, checking over Robbie with his circuitry as he tells Robbie his name, not caring what he is in any other universe, since he is the Ghost Rider and an Avenger, the only one this world has. He says that anything Robbie touches becomes his hell ride, and he rose a celestial from the dead and rode Silver Surfer's board, making him the All Rider and the multiversal spirit of vengeance, and for the fate of the universe, he needs him to wake up. The Deathlock begins smashing at the roaches again, angered by them, but what he doesn't realize is that it's the shrunken Ant-Man who has broken into their cell to try and rescue the heroes.